special effects that have caught the eye of Hollywood and brought this 32-year-old fame and the temptation of fortune.
You know, I kind of get offered all the Jason, Friday the 13th movies and Freddy Krueger movies and those sorts of things. I mean, but none of that's ever interested me.
And this doesn't interest him either. Among the black tie brigade at last night's premiere in Christchurch, Jackson in tennis shoes and a sports jacket. You look distinctly out of place here.
I still couldn't bring myself to try and fit into a tuxedo, but I'm glad to see that so many other people have made the effort. It's a special moment when you're sending your film off into the big wide world. You can't kind of hold its hand anymore and protect it and not show it to anybody.
The film, Heavenly Creatures, has catapulted this man from the Wellington suburb of Miramar into the arms of international film distributor Miramax.
We've decided how sad it is for other people that they cannot appreciate our genius.
Heavenly Creatures is based on the true story of Juliet Hume and Pauline Parker, two Christchurch teenagers obsessed with Mario Lanza, fantasy stories, and each other. When that friendship was threatened by Pauline Parker's mother, the girls turned to murder. The critics love it. Heavenly Creatures has already won the Silver Lion in Venice and the Metro Media Award for Best Film in Toronto. Critical acclaim is nothing new for Peter Jackson, but up to now it's been for his bizarre splatter comedies, movies you need a certain stomach for, movies that have earned him a cult following all around the world. He is mobbed in Venice. He has fan clubs all around Italy. The makers of Star Trek want him. Even Dustin Hoffman's production company wanted Jackson for their own version of the Parker Hume murder story. But Peter Jackson wants none of that.
I'm perfectly happy to stay in New Zealand, just carrying on doing exactly what I've been doing over the last 5 or 6 years. Don't want to do anything more than that.
And do you think it's possible to stay as you are?
Yeah, I think it is. I don't make any conscious efforts to be any different than what I was a few years ago.
Success may change you.
May do, we'll see. I hope not.
Success certainly wasn't his motivation early on. He made these Super 8 movies as a teenager, and as young as 9, Peter Jackson was making his own special effects. Then came Bad Taste. The movie he made over 4 years, working on weekends and holidays. Lead actors doubled as aliens, often filming themselves. Jackson himself played more than one role.
I've gone for laughs much more than scares, you know. I can't take it seriously, you know. I could never do a horror movie that was supposed to seriously frighten people because I just can't take them seriously. I find them hilarious.
Peter Jackson was identified right from Bad Taste days as very definitely a rising talent.
Bad Taste was a big risk for Lindsay Shelton of the New Zealand Film Commission. He took a punt and funded it.
The international film industry has perceived that he is not just a natural storyteller on film, but an inspired storyteller on film, and also one with a wonderful sense of humor.
After Bad Taste came Meet the Feebles, a story of drugs, sex, and soft toys. But it was Brain Dead that brought him true cult status and his biggest success. Jackson cast then unknown actors like Tim Balm.
It was long and it was sticky and it was generally it was pretty unpleasant conditions, but working with Peter was inspirational.
So we've definitely got to get you sort of your head about this height. So we're actually...
If directing Brain Dead was inspirational, Peter Jackson's next project, Heavenly Creatures, was inspired. It's so different to what you've done before. What compelled you to make this movie?
There was all this sensational lesbian schoolgirl killer stuff, and that wasn't what attracted us to the story. What attracted us was actually going below, beneath those headlines and trying to find out what happened to these people. I mean, this story is about human beings. It's not about evil people.
Jackson spent over a year researching the Parker Hume tale, immersing himself in the girls' diaries, fantasies, and stories.
We're calling him Diello. Well, that's a good dramatic name. Paul.
Did you ever try and contact Pauline or Juliet?
No.
Why not?
We felt that their privacy should be respected. We felt that if we contacted them, they would say that they didn't want the film made. I mean, obviously, we're not, silly.
But people are searching for Pauline Parker.
But I mean, I hope that Pauline isn't going to be uncovered. I would hate that. I think Pauline is probably a lot more vulnerable than Juliet.
While Jackson never talked directly with Pauline Parker and Juliet Hume, he spoke to many people who had known the pair, some who had vivid memories of the brutal way they'd murdered Pauline's mother, Honora.
Oh, well, there was just so many marks on the head, and you could see the hands, how she'd tried to protect herself, you see, with her hands. And
Audrey Amos was a young police officer sent to the murder scene. Honora had been bashed in the head with a brick about 40 times. Audrey remembers the girls as actresses, who at the time didn't shed a tear.
I feel they were really just sort of trying to pretend they didn't care, but really deep down they did, you know, they did really care, I think, both of them.
I just went as far as I could, really.
Melanie Linsky plays Pauline Parker in the movie.
Nothing but a cheap little tart. Well, I guess I take after you then. You ran off with Dad when you were only 17.
For this first-time actress, it was a demanding and sometimes frightening role.
You're going to be late.
Tell me about the murder scene.
I'm pushing her down into the mud and she's screaming and struggling to get back up, and after every take of that scene I was just distraught. I just wanted to sit down and just cry, and just feeling that sort of force in your arms and those feelings in your head, and just, you know, doing that.
The murder scene is disturbing for the audience as well. It's the film's climax, and Peter Jackson won't allow us to show it.
The whole crew was in a state of kind of trauma, really, on the day that we did the murder. Everyone felt like it was the one scene in the movie that nobody wanted to actually shoot.
But you did. What's it like for you to watch that scene now?
I mean, I find the murder scene in Heavenly Creatures very upsetting, and I can't watch it anymore. I mean, it's not like that in any of the other films I made. I mean, the blood and the gore is kind of funny. It's done for a comic effect, but in this film it's not, and I just shut my eyes every time I watch it.
Come on, sit up.
I'm not hungry.
Oh, Yvonne, you've got to eat. You hardly ate any dinner last night. Come on.
Veteran actress Sarah Pearce plays murder victim Honora Parker, the woman Pauline and Juliet despised.
It was the demise of a woman who, at no point did I feel in any of the research I'd done, ever warranted that action, ever. I mean, even remotely. You can't vindicate a girl's action.
Even Peter Jackson, who feels great sympathy for Parker and Hume, can't explain the brutal murder.
I don't think I'll ever be able to understand is why they ultimately went through with it. I mean, at any time on the last day they could have changed their minds. At any time, right up to the moment before the murder. I've never really quite been able to understand that final kind of obsessive hatred, I guess, that ultimately you know, made Pauline strike her mother.
It's a film full of emotion, and at the premiere in Christchurch last night, some of that emotion spilled over. There's a sad side to this celebration. Missing from tonight's premiere is Peter Jackson's close friend and filmmaking partner, Jim Booth. Jim was a producer on Heavenly Creatures. He died of cancer just before it was finished.
It's you know, not quite so much fun anymore. You know, I miss Jim every single day.
They met during the making of Bad Taste. Jim Booth was part of the establishment, the Film Commission. Peter Jackson, the renegade director. Is there a certain bittersweetness about the success, that Jim isn't around to share it?
You know, I don't want to be bitter about that. I don't want to be bitter about anything. I mean, it's a great tribute to Jim, and, you know, the film didn't have anything to do with him dying. None of us could prevent that. And I think the fact that that this is his last film, I'm glad that this is his last film and not Brain Dead, put it that way.
I think I'm going crazy. It's everyone else who's bonkers. You're only 14. You're a child.
Your mother is rather a miserable woman,
Isn't she?
I know what to do about Mother.
Yes.
Some sort of accident.
Next year, Peter Jackson begins work on another big feature.
Action! Action!
He won't be going to Hollywood, but there's talk Hollywood will be coming to him in the form of a major motion picture star. Jackson's a Kiwi success story who's determined to keep that success at home.
I could go to Hollywood and make lots of money, but I'd just be directing movies, but I'd rather stay here and do what I enjoy doing. I mean, you know, doing what you enjoy doing, I think, is such a rare thing, and to actually be able to do that in your life, I think, is worth millions of dollars, you know. It's like, it's worth more than millions of dollars. It's fantastic.